Okay, this is a section. This is showing the 5-story hat truss on the top. The steel frame core spanning 65 feet to the exterior wall. This is, so I'm talking about, let me use my cool thing. Okay, this is a 65-foot span right here. This is the 5-story hat truss. As you can see in this other drawing, that you cannot have collapse from side to side, from the whole side to side of the building. Floors do not collapse below the damage, as the 5 floors of damage are not heavy enough, as they are made of lightweight concrete and lightweight steel trusses and metal deck. It is so little weight that it's not even worth calculating. To calculate a 60 or 80 foot wide area of that for 5 floors is minuscule compared to what all the floors can support. In fact, they said that these floors, not just one of them, in many commercial buildings, and especially office buildings, if you're going to put a law library in there, you're going to have a lawyer or something in there, you've got a lot of books, at least you did in the old days, you had to beef up the floor, because you couldn't put anything that heavy in there. It's like a library. You couldn't put a library on these kind of floors. These floors were built to sustain a library load on every floor. These were heavy floors, so they never had to go in and beef them up. They would support anything they wanted to put in there. On every floor, except the mechanical floors. They did beef up the mechanical floors that occurred in about 3 different locations up the side of the building. Okay, this is a section through the building, right beyond the wall that's pierced on the north house, looking towards the core. And these, you can see all these little lines, see all these little hatches I put in here? That's a column, a truss that connects the columns, the exterior columns, to the main frame. And you can see here where a jet goes in, you don't have massive collapse because you've got trusses going this way. So the only thing it possibly could have torn up is the things it touched. You're not going to be able to tear up stuff, and certainly not on the other side of the building. You're not going to be able to ring this thing. You're not going to be able to go all the way around the core and tear out all those floors that even commence a pancake-type collapse, because this system just simply does not permit it. It's built to contain it and isolate it. Now, okay. Oh, my neck. Now we know that the exterior columns were not severed. I looked at some very good photographs, up-close photographs of the North Tower entry of the jet. These columns, they are damaged, but they're not severed. The same goes here. They're only severed here. And even in this area, they're not totally torn off the wall. They're still hanging there like a loose tube. Like the stuff's stuck together pretty good. And then, you still have these columns that are untouched, all the way down. Don't forget these 4'6" deep spindle panels connecting all these columns that were severed beneath, which is only that right here. Now those are being carried from this set of columns over to this set of columns. And I got to read this to you. You're not going to believe this. This is a quote. A design procedure that will be used for structural framing of the 1,350-foot high twin towers. This was written before it was built. It's actually 1,368 feet, and the 2 towers are slightly different in height, but just about that. This gives the exterior columns tremendous reserve strength. Live loads can be increased more than 2,000% before failure occurs. This was written in Engineering News Record, July 8, 1965. So these columns have every bit the power to contain anything that is carried by these spandrel panels, and these spandrel panels certainly carry the load of the upper floors on those columns over to here. So in fact, turns out you really don't even need the half truss to be in tension. This does it right here. It's sufficient enough to do it. The south tower, that was all the north tower. And I like that one because the jet entry is so close to the half truss, and there's really good close-up photographs of that. This is even more amazing. The south tower leaned over 22 feet. 22 degrees. It was about 32 floors high. This would be like the Pennzoil Tower in Houston falling off an 80-story building. This is amazing. When you see this, you're just kind of like shocked. The top 32 floors tilted 22 degrees, but does not reach the ground with structural integrity as it should if it were a natural event. A natural collapse from a weakened buckled frame would drop the top of it right down onto the ground. When buildings fail naturally from acts of God, they topple with structural integrity. This lost all structural integrity. Let's look at the force moment. Once begun, can only be stopped by an equal and opposite force. The top part of the building the 32 floors weighed approximately 290,000 kids, or 290 million pounds. The way you figure that is you take half the height of that, which is 384 feet, giving you 192 feet. We multiply that by the weight, we arrive at a force moment of 55,680,000 foot kiss. And that's what you need to stop that rotation, and you need it applied from the other direction. And as you can see, there's nothing out there to stop it. So once this rotation begins, it must complete. It must go on, unless you provide that opposite force. Well, there was nothing to provide it, so what happened to it? Well, here's the real. At the bottom, you end up with 2 stories above grade, smoldering, crumpled steel, and no concrete, no steel frames, floors. This is what we're asked to believe. Fire calls, pancaking. FEMA asks that we believe that local fires and local damage cause uniform global collapse from combined weight of falling floors. The structural system does not permit global collapse from local damage. There are no pancakes at the bottom. There simply aren't any pancakes. There's no concrete floor down there. So if it's pancake, where's the pancakes? There are no pancakes. The concrete and metal floor decks were pulverized in midair and they settled all over Manhattan. The concrete and mangled steel between each floor resulting from a natural collapse would produce a pile of debris that could possibly be 27 stories high, 4 stories taller than the hotel between the towers, the Marriott. That's a lot of debris at the top. This architect and 114 other architects and engineers will need a real investigation. That's it.